Hello, we're Team Titan Go, and for Hack 11 we'll be showing you our proposed solution for challenge number 2, customer experience tool bought by Robertson. We work with the challenge owner to understand the existing process. From this, we're able to provide insight and suggest efficiencies. When meeting with the customer, they will be asked 9 mandatory questions, rating them from 1 to 10 against each of the criteria, as well as providing comments. Following the meeting, the BDM will finalise the feedback record in an Excel template and share this with the customer for a review, inviting them to make amendments. This is then sent back to the BDM. The BDM will then share the spreadsheet with the BD Information Manager, who will manually transfer this data into a central repository. This is another Excel spreadsheet. This will then feed upwards reporting.
We formed 4 user stories based on the existing process and requirements of the challenge. Number 1, a business development manager who would like a method to collate and store customer feedback. Number 2, a customer who would like the opportunity to provide performance feedback and be able to review the notes taken by the BDM. Number 3, a project manager who would like to understand the customer relationship history when mobilising a new project. Number 4, a board member who would like visibility of the customer experience for our projects as a whole. To solve these, we have created a solution in Power Apps as a method of collating feedback data and automatically storing this data in a SharePoint list. We then use Power Automate to send a copy of the response to the customer by email to be able to check and comment on the responses. And finally, 2 Power BI dashboards, one to provide high-level data to the board, giving them the availability to drill down into the qualitative data, to understand the rationale behind the scoring and to help them inform decision making. The other dashboard provides a directory of the historic customer feedback for new PMs to access data that could help them in establishing a new project.
So here we have our Power App. This is the home page. We can create a new record here. Build in the details like so. All drop downs, multi-line answers for comments, new scores. You can send a customer an email, so that will come through to them in an email with all the items. And there, you can submit the form, and then you can view your previous records, like so, and edit them. So here we have our SharePoint list, and this is where the data comes through from Power Apps when you submit a form. And here we have a Power Automate, which is in our Power Apps. And this is to send the email using the button in the Power App. So we have a Power Apps connector and the various details we want to include in the email.
Hello, my role within the project was the transformation of the data as it comes out of SharePoint before getting into a fit state to go into Power BI. This involved lots of unpivoting of data to get it into the right format before then writing some DAX queries to get it into the to-be state as required. With regards to the presentation itself, it's really quite in its infancy, but there are 3 stages when the questionnaire is carried out. Stage 1 here for this particular project you can see is underperforming against a benchmark of 8 out of 10. With regards to going forward, I think we need to spend a bit more time with the challenge owner to get a bit more of an insight as to what it is their real problems are before we then develop new visualizations to meet their expectations.
We continually monitored opportunities to develop new features to benefit the process. Due to the time constraints, some of these features have remained as future opportunities. Robertson currently uses Dynamics 365 to manage its projects. We carried out initial investigations into how it can be used with Power Automate and identified features such as the extraction of project information to automatically populate the list. Instead of sharing the feedback with the customer via email, we will look into how customers can be given restricted access to the Power App to review and edit a particular record. This will remove the need for the BDM to manually input changes requested by the customer. To provide a protected version of the record, we will produce a PDF report of the feedback. This would have required significant changes to the way in which we had already set up our SharePoint list. Finally, we will develop a feature in the app so that actions to address customer feedback can be assigned to the most appropriate owner. These would then be reported to the board so that they can identify whether additional resource is required.
Additional questions. Question 1. Although data provided in Excel was labelled as cleaned, after analysing we found some missing qualitative data which was removed to anonymise the customers. We created default values for some of the missing fields as an example for this challenge to show outputs in Power BI. The data was provided in Excel but was not in a table that could be used. We created a SharePoint list using the headers from the provided dataset that imported the data. The structure of the created SharePoint list was not in a usable format for use in the Power BI. We unpivoted the scores for each question, then used DAX to create a table variable for each question, type and score. We then created a union to join them together to be able to display the qualitative and quantitative data together in one table. Question 2. Our key aim in developing our solution was to ensure that it fitted in with the existing process the team is currently using, as opposed to mandating something new. This reduces organisational cost and risk that comes with implementing a process change. By developing robust understanding of the existing process, we were able to identify which stages of the process could be improved through automation while not introducing new time-consuming steps. We also worked with the challenge owner to understand what software packages they had available to them, meaning that this solution brings no additional cost with respect to IT installation or licensing. Question 3. Our dashboard has been designed so that both the qualitative and quantitative data are easy to access and understand by the end user. For the board, the scores are represented in an easy to understand graphical form with the qualitative data available to support it. The future ability to also display corresponding action plans to address the feedback will give the board the ability to make informed decisions on allocation of resource. We would also look at using average scores per construction phase to see how other projects were performing against their peers. For the future project manager's dashboard, the qualitative data, including the feedback and actions, are more important than the scores recorded at the time.